Our topic for today is going to be the quadratic formula. Make sure you have that filled out in your table of contents as well as today's date. The quadratic formula is an awesome formula that we have that can help us be able to solve a quadratic function. So we already know if we're trying to find the solution of a quadratic function, we can look at the graph and find the x-intercepts, or we can solve it by factoring. The quadratic formula is what we're going to use when it cannot be factored. So the quadratic formula is x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all divided by 2a. So it's very, very important when you're doing problems that you divide the entire thing by 2a and not just part of it by 2a. Here where it's talking about plus or minus, that means we're literally going to do the problem twice. We're going to do it once where we do addition, and we're going to do it again where we do subtraction. It is your responsibility to make sure that you know this formula by heart. So when you come to class tomorrow, you should be able to recite this formula. There are tons of YouTube videos and other songs and raps that you can use to help you memorize it. So we're going to take a look at an example. We are going to be solving y equals x squared plus 9x plus 14 by using the quadratic formula. So the first thing that we always do is we're going to identify our a, b, and c just like we've been doing in class. So if we look here, our a is going to be 1, our b is 9, and our c is 14. And again, as we're going through these examples, make sure that you're working them with me. You can always pause it and rewind if you need to hear it again. All right, then what we're going to do is we're going to write down our formula. So I wrote down x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all divided by 2a. Then all I did was I plugged in the a, the b, and the c. So my b was 9, so negative b is going to be negative 9 plus or minus the square root. B squared is going to become 9 squared minus 4. My a is 1, my c is 14, and then all of that's divided by 2a. Notice that I'm stressing that it's all divided by 2a. Some people will get in the habit of just dividing this 9 by 2a or just dividing what's in the square root by 2a, but you have to remember to divide the entire thing by 2a. All right, now what we're going to do is we're just going to simplify it. So what I'm going to simplify first is the part under the square root. So we're going to simplify this part right here. You can simplify that by typing it in your calculator. When you type it in the calculator, you should get that all of this under the square root is equal to 25. So now our problem simplifies to negative 9 plus or minus the square root of 25, all divided by 2. Well, we know the square root of 25 is 5, so I can rewrite it as negative 9 plus or minus 5 divided by 2. Once you have it to this point is when we're going to rewrite it. So I rewrote the problem as negative 9 plus 5 divided by 2 and negative 9 minus 5 divided by 2. Don't try to solve it like this. You want to rewrite it one where you're using the plus and one where you're using the minus. And then what you have to do is do negative 9 plus 5, divide that answer by 2, and you should get negative 2. And then negative 9 minus 5 divided by 2 should give you the negative 7. So for this example, the solutions of the quadratic formula are negative 2 and negative 7. Since these are whole numbers, you can actually check these answers by graphing, and you can check these answers by factoring. So before class tomorrow, that's something that I would like you to do, is I would actually like you to check them. You can check them by factoring this quadratic equation, or you can check them by graphing. Right. The next example that we're going to look at is 2x squared minus 3x equals 8. Now, this is a quadratic function because it's x squared. However, the problem is that this is not in standard form. So whenever you have a quadratic function that's not in standard form, meaning that everything's not on one side of the equal sign, that's what you have to do first. So with this equation, we want to move this 8 to the other side of the equal sign. So when we do that, we get 2x squared minus 3x minus 8. Now that everything's on the same side of the equal sign, we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to identify our A, our B, and our C. So I would like you to go ahead and do that on your paper. So you should have gotten that A was 2, B was negative 3, and C was negative 8. So once you have your A, B, and C, we're going to write down the formula. So it's negative B plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all divided by 2a. And then everywhere we see a, we're going to plug in 2. Everywhere we see a b in our formula, we're going to put negative 3. And everywhere we see a c, we're going to put negative 8. As you can see here, I have gone ahead and plugged in the numbers. The part of this that I want to point out is right here. It says the formula is negative b. But if you notice, my b is already a negative number. So 2 negatives is going to make a positive. So that's why I have a positive 3 right here. So just make sure that you pay attention to your signs. And then we have plus or minus the square root of our negative 3 squared. Notice how when I write it, I go ahead and put the negative 3 in parentheses. The reason that I do that is because that's my reminder for when I type it in the calculator that whenever I do negatives, it has to go in parentheses. And then we have minus 4 times 2 times the negative 8 divided by 2 times 2. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to simplify it. We're going to simplify what's under the square root first. So I want you to type this in just like you see it up here to your calculator. When you have that typed in, you should have gotten 73 under the square root. And then we can go ahead and simplify. The 2 times 2 is going to give us 4. So all of this stuff simplifies into 3 plus or minus the square root of 73 divided by 4. Now, if you type in the square root of 73 in your calculator, you'll notice that that isn't a square root that we can take. It's not like the last example. The last example was the square root of 25. We knew the square root of 25 was 5. So since there's nothing we can do with the square root of 73, we're going to leave our answer as the square root of 73. And we're going to type it in the calculator. So we're going to do 3 plus the square root of 73 divided by 4. When you type all of that in your calculator, you should get 2.89. And we have to do it again, and this time we have to do 3 minus the square root of 73 divided by 4. And when you type that in your calculator, you should get negative 1.39. If you're not getting these values when you type it in your calculator, make sure that you're doing the 3 plus the square root of 73, hitting enter, and then dividing by 4, or that you're putting the 3 plus the square root of 73 in parentheses. We're going to finish up today by having you try one. I would like you to solve 2x squared minus 3x minus 15 equals 5. I would like you to solve this by using the quadratic formula, and I would like you to come to class tomorrow prepared to explain your answers. Also remember that you can come with a list of questions and that I will answer all of those at the beginning of class.